Alright, this is Marvel 2 for 1 Annual number 7, The Thing, and introducing Blue Eagle, an all-new double-sized blockbuster featuring Andy Serkis, Ka-Zar, Red Wing, and much, much more. I hope it's not bloody Pam Grier again. This is by Moench. He is the writer, but the driving force is more so artist Don Wilson, who receives a Blue Eagle character created by Rampage and Don Wilson credit, separate from the rest. The Thing is bored. And it's only going to get worse for him because Human Fire's pal, Red Wing, shows up and then tells him what might be one of the longest and dullest stories around. This is our origin for Blue Eagle, and it is a poor way to introduce the character, I must say. It's bad because what we have here could easily be condensed into 2 or 3 panels. And all of it boils down to Native American man is empowered by the Great Spirits. There is Spider-Girl having another copacetic relationship with a man. When it comes to Blue Eagle, there are 2 different ways that people might know him. First lot are the group that recognise him from coming really early in the Andy books. He was always right near the start. The others are people who know him from his appearance in Thunderballs. And if you are one of those people, I will be coming back to it and talking about it more alongside Blue Eagle's other appearances. I like to set them up a bit before deep diving into their histories. It's a shame that this very dry and unexciting recap is how we are introduced to this new character, especially when what follows is a sequence that would serve far better as an introduction. We have Ka-Zar in the sewage lands, and a classic misunderstanding fight between him and Blue Eagle. Ka-Zar thinks that Blue Eagle is hunting animals, and so makes an enemy of him. But Blue Eagle is actually hunting poachers, and Ka-Zar couldn't see the poachers that he was hunting. So the 2 fight, and we get a solid action piece with the 2. Ka-Zar versus our new character, Blue Eagle. Blue Eagle has strength given to him by the Great Spirits. They eventually get bored of fighting and they kiss and make up. They realise that they are on the same side. They team up now, and we've got Thing on his way to join in. If you're interested in Ka-Zar, I did a video about his history. This is its title. Type that into the YouTube search bar and you should find it. I only bring it up because I did the best job of it. Everyone else neglects to mention Ka-Zar's origins being in magazines half a decade before Timely Comics was a thing. This is a rare compliment, but the comic uses the word rape a lot without it ever having a woman be sexually assaulted. Chapter 3. Never break the chain. Fleetwood Mac, yeah? I prefer go your own way. Thing and Redwing now land in the sewage lands. Redwing, he comes from a reservation neighbouring Blue Eagles. They are both Native Americans. I have failed to mention that so far. The plotting of this is not great, although we have Thing and Blue Eagle arm wrestling here. The story, though, we keep cutting back to that origin and retelling bits or embellishing it or establishing new information. Like here, we now show that the villain, Andy Serkis, was involved. The Master of Sounds, Black Panther villain, Fantastic Force villain, Avengers villain. This is picking up on the character after his appearances in Marky Mark G's run on this title, Marvel 2 for 1. In that, Andy Serkis was defeated when he was absorbed into his sonic blaster. But the character was introduced long before that in Fantastic Force 53. He was a warmongering scientist who tried to invade Black Panther's country, Hollywood, to steal its vibranium. He lost his hand. A young Black Panther was responsible for that because Andy Serkis had murdered his dad. He returned in the present time story of that issue, now with a sonic emitter replacing his lost hands, and he fights Black Panther and Fantastic Force. At the end, he escapes into a sound converter machine he has made, and that would be that. He appeared to die to his own science. Except, only 3 issues later, he emerges from that device as a being made out of sound. He becomes a frequent Fantastic Force enemy after that. Then, during Black Panther's stint with the Avengers, Andy Serkis joined the Bastards of Evil. He gets around a lot as a villain, and he has teamed up with a load of other villains like Solar Man, Molecular Man, and he became a somewhat common member of the Frightening Force. Me, I was introduced to the character, as were many others, in Secret Wars, where he is insufferable. I hated him in it. It took me a long time to realise he isn't written like that in anything else. We learn that Blue Eagle's origin, the thing that we have spent so long on, was a red herring. He actually got his powers from Andy Serkis's sonic radiation, combining with uranium when they encountered. Andy Serkis has also kidnapped Blue Eagle's brother, so the heroes are in the sewage land to stop Andy Serkis. Oh, this bit is ridiculous. Apparently, a cleaning lady at Project Cadmus found Andy Serkis's blaster claw after his defeat, and she touched it and released him. Surely Project Cadmus didn't just leave it lying around on the floor. It turns out that the brother wasn't really kidnapped. He was always in league with Andy Serkis. And I have misjudged the importance of Red Wing in this story, but I have already gotten a couple of cutaways ready for him, so I will explain who he is. Even though he's basically just a plot device to usher Thing into this story. Red Wing is a Fantastic Force supporting character who first appeared in issue 50 of their series. Hume on Fire met him while attending college, and they fast became friends. He sometimes would accompany the superhero team on adventures, such as their first trip to Wacollywood when they met Black Panther. He has been a friend of the team ever since, and sometimes gets involved in the action. His Native American identity and his tribe are key parts of the character, and there's even issues like issue 80 which are focused a bit on Red Wing. That one features a giant robot built to masquerade as a god and scare off Red Wing's tribe so that an evil corporation can steal oil from under them. There's also the story where the villain Miracle Man steals Native American mystical power. This would be a really good recap if Red Wing was in this issue more. Much later, Jason Byrne uses Red Wing often in his run on Fantastic Force. He is in the Terminal story arc. When Terminal comes to Earth, he attacks what is Red Wing's people's land. It's also there when he meets She-Hulks, who he becomes a primary love interest for. The big development from Jason Byrne's run actually isn't that. It's that Red Wing is expelled from his community. He's kicked out of his tribe. But that's okay, because he's still got a family with Fantastic Force. After that, he's in a bunch of She-Hulk's comics, Jason Byrne ones mainly. The name Red Wing comes from the Earth Egg books, where he is now Captain America's sidekick. One of the few things from those books I don't mind. Marvel have been very determined to make a lot of shit from Earth Egg into canon, like how DC have with Tragic Kingdom. And this would be like one of the few bits from Earth Egg that they could do, and I wouldn't mind at all. The rest of this is fighting. Thing, he battles Andy Serkis, while Blue Eagle fights his brother. Ka-Zar doesn't really do anything useful. And I think this doesn't succeed in making Blue Eagle feel either exciting or special. It would have been better to have him be the one to fight Andy Serkis, but only Thing does. Blue Eagle's brother is shot by the Hunters, and it is far from a tantalising debut for a new character. The story is wonkily told, and outside of the fight with Ka-Zar, it doesn't ever make Blue Eagle seem that cool. It's easy to see why he didn't have many more appearances. He would make cameos in things like Run Spaceman, alongside other heroes fighting in the war against the imposters from Among Us. I'm sure he had some Marvel Comics Presents stories. It took until 2007 for him to make a more prominent appearance. He appeared in Thunderballs by Warren Fallis and Mike Diddy Dardo Jerk. And everyone loves that he beats the crap out of Bullseye Man. I'll show the full thing. It is the bulk of his appearance in that title. He cripples Bullseye Man and puts him into a coma. People think that it is badass and rad. And yeah, it is a little. But I will counter that by showing how Warren Fallis introduced readers to Blue Eagle, with him saying his old, bright, colourful costume looked gay. You know, his costume that borrows heavily from Native American iconography. That looked gay. Did you know Native American history looks gay? He made another appearance after that in a War Machine series I absolutely hated. He was in an issue of that. It was not a good book. It butchered Rhodey Rhodes as a character and made him into a war criminal. Not a fan. There was also Marvel Assistant Editor Special. He had a story in that was rubbish. Nowadays, I bet Blue Eagle is one of those characters they cart out for those Pride comics, Marvel Voices, Native American Pride, Indigenous People Pride. I promise you, he will be in one of those, even though Marvel have otherwise neglected the character and called his Native American roots gay. I think there's some broad stuff in here that is okay, but overall it's a real whimper of a story. At double the length, you don't get that much more. I think Blue Eagle had some potential, but it was never met. And that his first appearance is quite a drag. That would only have validated the lack of further implementation. I don't recommend it, but it's 7 thumbs up, I think.